So the question I've been getting a lot these days is, do I file a new claim or supplemental claim? The answer is actually a little bit complicated, but I've got a really easy way to think about it. And I'll tell you about that in a minute after I explain to you how the system works. As I've spoken about in other videos, back in 2019, the VA changed how it does claims and appeals. And this actually goes back even before the 2019 change, back to 2015, when the VA said, okay, everything's got to be on an official form. Now, before 2015, as a friend of mine put it, you could literally write your claim on a rock and throw it through the window at the VA, and the VA had to treat that as a claim. That's true. I used to say you could write a claim on a bar napkin and mail it in to the VA, and they'd accept it as a claim, but either way, you get the point, right? You could make a claim however you want. That was before 2015. In 2015, they said, no. You have to file the claims on the proper documents, right? So you couldn't just fill out a statement of support of claim, send that in. You couldn't just fill out whatever you wanted. And the VA would figure out, now you got to use the right form. Well, 2019 rolls around and the Appeals Modernization Act comes about. Gone is the 21-526-EZ that then leads to a rating decision, that then leads to a notice of disagreement, where you could elect either a decision review officer or to the Board of Veterans Appeals, and then the VA would issue a statement of the case, and then you would have to file a Form 9 within 60 days, and then it would go up to the Board of Veterans Appeals. And if you wanted to reopen a case that had been previously denied, you would just file a new 21-526-EZ. Now, if you remember, the 21-526-EZ is that document that you filed to start a claim, your initial claim, right? And before the Appeals Modernization Act, so before 2019, if you got denied for something and you wanted to just reopen it because it had been a couple of years, you could file this 21-526-EZ. Previously also, if you'd filed the 21-526-EZ and then you wanted to file additional stuff on top of that, you could file a 21-526-B, which is like it was like a supplemental claim. They call it a supplemental claim. It makes sense to call it a supplemental claim. But what it was a document to say, hey, I just have a new condition. I'm already service connected for some stuff. I've got a new condition. Please give me a rating for this. So back in the day, back before 2019, if let's say you filed your claim, you got denied, and you waited a couple years, you came back and you wanted to try again, and you had new and relevant evidence, you would go back and file a new 21-526-EZ. I'm sorry, new material evidence. If you had new material evidence, you would file the 21-526-EZ. And that would reopen the claim. You weren't appealing it, you were reopening it. If you wanted to appeal it, you had to do that within that year by filing that notice of disagreement. After 2019, everything got thrown out the window. If you still file a claim on the 21-526-EZ, but if you want to appeal it, you have your three options. You have your Board of Veterans Appeal file, you have your higher level review, you have your supplemental claim, each having their own form. I've said this is ridiculous, you should just put it on one form, whatever. You could use any one of these to appeal your claim within 1 year in order to get what's called continuous pursuit, meaning that you would keep the effective date of your claim. Now, if you waited more than 1 year under the Appeals Modernization Act and you want to reopen your claim like you used to be able to do on a 21-526, well, now you have to use a supplemental claim. Have I lost you yet? It's okay. Here's what the bottom line, though, is. You still file for a request for increase on a 21-526-EZ. You appeal, though, on a supplemental claim form. Here's how this works out in practice. Let's say you have a service-connected right knee condition. You've applied for it, you was granted, and it was given a 10% rating. A couple years go by and it's gotten much worse. At that point, if it's gotten worse, you would file another 21-526-EZ for your right knee condition for an increase. Got it? Good. Now, let's say it had been denied, right? So the VA denies the claim. You file your 21-526-EZ, the VA denies your claim for your right knee condition, and what do you do then? Well, you can appeal it through the higher level review, supplemental claim, or Board of Veterans Appeals appeal in that first year. Alternatively, if you wait more than a year, think life got in the way, what have you, a couple years go by, if you want to go back and address that claim again, that right knee condition claim, you have to file a supplemental claim. Here's the best way to think about it. If it's something that has gotten worse over time, you file the new 526EZ. If it's something you disagree with entirely from the get-go, it is the supplemental claim. Now, what if, well, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Andy, before I appealed or I applied and I said my right knee was a primary condition directly service connected, but now I think it's a secondary condition to my left knee. Or I applied for depression back in 2017 and they denied it on direct basis, but now I think my depression might be because of my chronic back pain. Do I file a new claim? No. It's still a supplemental claim. It's still, and the way to think about this is the VA is looking at the system or the body part. So once the VA has addressed your knee, your mental health, your back, your cancer diagnosis, it doesn't matter whether it's primary or secondary anymore. And primary and secondary, people get wrapped up on that all the time. That is really for the VA to figure out whether it's primary or secondary using the evidence you've given them. So really for now, it's important to focus on, has the VA addressed that symptom or that condition or that issue before? And by issue, I mean that system of your body, your knee, your back, your hips, the cancer, the headaches, the mental health. If the VA's already addressed your mental health, even if the VA addressed PTSD back in 2017, but now you think it's depression, it's probably going to be a supplemental claim. Now, if the diagnosis changes and you thought it was patellofemoral stress syndrome in your knee, say that 10 times fast, and now it actually is a diagnosis of arthritis, it's still probably a supplemental claim, but helpful hint, what you might want to do is write on there, on the supplemental claim itself, right on there, previously diagnosed or claimed as patellofemoral stress syndrome. Make sense? So again, if it's the bodily system the VA's already addressed, it's probably going to be a secondary claim. It's probably going to be a supplemental claim. Something I hinted at earlier. What if you get a decision from the VA and they lowball your ratings, right? Let's say it's an autoimmune condition and the VA is rating you as if you're not taking a corticosteroid, right? Which is an increase in rating. If you submit a supplemental claim quickly with new evidence, that should get you continuous pursuit. That is not a request for increase. But what I have found, like I said in another video, is that the VA is treating that for a request for increase and kicking back the supplemental claim form. So if you disagree with the initial rating, and this is not service connection, but if you disagree with your initial rating, it might be helpful just to write it on the form, disagree with initial rating. And then maybe write a letter to the VA explaining why your evidence entitles you to the next higher rating. I know, guys, it's complicated. It shouldn't be, but it is what it is. And this is the stuff I'm dealing with as a VA disability benefits attorney. It's stuff veterans are dealing with on a daily basis. I get this question a lot as to what claim to file. I'm also getting a lot of claims files from veterans who got stuck because they don't know what's going on inside their own file, and they maybe filed a 21-526 when a supplemental claim was what the VA was looking for, but the VA sent them a letter that was kind of vague, and they didn't know what to do with it. Again, this is sort of the guideline as to what you need to do when you're going along in the process. Unfortunately, the Appeals Modernization Act made things a little bit more complicated in this regard. I really wish the VA would lighten up a bit and process things in a way that's more friendly to veterans, where if you file a supplemental claim when the VA thinks it should have been a request for increase, just guys at the VA, just maybe you should change the rules. Maybe you should reconsider about how you file them. Again, maybe I don't have a lot of VA employees watching my channel. I don't know. But anyway, hopefully that helps some folks. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I try to address it in future videos. If you want help with your VA disability benefits appeal, reach out to me, and I'll see what I can do to help. So until next time, take care.